Christian Youngren with Kaizen Automotive Consulting, bringing you more best automotive practices. Now, when it comes to your dealership guests, putting money down, cash is definitely king. I mean, the more money your guest puts down has advantages for both them and for the dealership. Because what it does is it lowers monthly payments, it helps increase equity much quicker, and can save your guests potentially thousands of dollars in finance charges. Now, all this is well and good, but helping convince your guest to part with their hard-earned savings as a down payment, now that can be an entirely different story, can't it? Now, I'm sure if you've been in the automotive business for more than a cup of coffee, you've probably been exposed to this 2 or 3 word track that most salespeople are taught probably during their first week in automotive sales. And it's effective, it does work, it's not super fancy. You know the technique I'm talking about. The guest says, well, I only want to do maybe $300 down, and you'd say, up to, not to exceed, if you really had to stretch, for the car you really want. And you know, all those can be effective, and I've used them and still at times do need to use those techniques. However, if you want a better technique, a better way to ask for more down payment money after you've exhausted the up tos, the not to exceeds, and if you really had to stretch, make sure you hang out, because I'm going to give you a better word track that helps you circle back for down payment money after you've already asked once. Now, if this is your first time to my channel and you want to improve your automotive selling skills, learn how to use psychology to sell more cars, and receive unbiased dealer reviews on dealership vendors and product services, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and then turn on that bell so you never miss out on learning anything new. All right then, let's get to work. Before jumping into the tax and license down payment bump that you can use when other salespeople have already given up asking for down payment money, let's talk a little bit about the different schools of thought or theories when it comes to when you should ask for that initial cash investment. Now, there's 2 schools of thoughts here. The first school of thought is that you hold off and you don't bring up the cash down money until after that first pencil. Now, this gives the dealer the advantage of allowing you to dictate the initial cash investments and the length of terms. Now, there's a second school of thought. And the second school of thought is to ask your guest up front. Ask them how much money they could put down before that first pencil. Now, this also gives you some advantages in that knowing that initial cash investment up front allows you as a dealership to be able to assist in better matching the budget to the vehicle that the guest is interested in. And the great thing about the tax and license down payment bump is this word track works either way, either before the first pencil or after that first pencil. So let's take a typical discussion of down payment before that first pencil, and let's just kind of role play this out so we can show you the word track. Joe, most lenders require anywhere from 10 to 20% down of the vehicle price as initial cash investment towards the vehicle. Now, on this Explorer, that comes to roughly $4,000 as initial cash investment. Now, is that what you had in mind, or would you feel more comfortable with a different amount? Now, Joe's going to probably say something like, well, I guess I was kind of hoping not to do anything. I mean, I saw an ad where you could do 0 down. And then you would just look at him and say, hey, you know what, I get that, and there's a lot of different ways to buy a vehicle. But let me ask you, since making an initial cash investment can increase your vehicle's equity position and possibly save you $1,000 in finance charges, would it be a ridiculous idea to put, say, 10% down or $2,000 towards the Explorer purchase? Now, Joe says, I guess I could do 500 if that can help. I mean, I could come up with 500. And the salesperson says, up to? Maybe not to exceed if you really had to stretch. So you use those simple techniques, and maybe you get a bump, maybe you don't. It usually does help. You'll usually get maybe 100, 200, sometimes more. Let's pretend Joe says, hey, you know what, I guess I could do 600, but hey, Christian, that's going to be about it. So you use the salesperson, you say, okay, we can work with the 600. So you write that down and then peek up and say, hey, were you planning on transferring the plates or getting new ones? They're going to tell you, and either way, go ahead and put your head back down, and what I want you to do is start estimating the tax and license fees. And then what I want you to do is peek up at the customer, circle it, and in a confident, matter-of-fact voice say this. Hey, Joe, Tax title and license, they're roughly about $2,200. Now I can appreciate you were able to cover some of this, but let me ask you a question. You don't want to go ahead and put the tax title and license down on the loan, do you, and have to pay finance charges? Go ahead and be quiet and let them answer. Joe says, well, no, I guess maybe I could cover half of it, or $1,200. How would that be? And you say, we can work with that, definitely. I've used this technique for over 30 years, and it still holds up today. In fact, salespeople report back to me that today, 7 out of 10 guests will increase their initial cash investment if, through proper tone and voice inflectuation, the salespeople are able to convey that everyone puts down the tax title and license fees up front. And psychologically, it's great because it takes the blame off you and it puts over on the tax title and licensing for asking for the down payment, not you. And that'll allow you to be able to persist in asking for more cash down when most other salespeople think there's nothing left and have totally given up. And hey, maybe you don't get the entire tax title and license. Maybe you don't get the $2,200 in this case. But if you practice this technique and you perfect it, I can almost guarantee you your guests will increase their initial cash investment from the original amount they had given you. And what that's going to mean to you is selling more cars and making more money. Well, there you have it. Until next time, please keep following that Kaizen philosophy. And that's this idea of small, little incremental improvements of growth every single day will add up to eventually big, extraordinary results.